All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Market Close. It is Thursday, January 15th. We are here a minute early. We got a lot to talk about. We ended up going red on the day. Bit of an ugly day in certain sectors that ended up going red. You've got some pockets of the market that are holding on to their green. Now, yesterday, we also had the same thing happen, right? We had a red day, then we gapped up, then we went red, then we kind of closed the gap, still ended about 0.5% down on the S&P, although we closed at 690. I think the top was 694. We got to 695 today. We are right back to 691. And there are certain names that are getting affected very aggressively from this. Robinhood is one of them. I honestly have no idea why this one is getting hit as bad as it's getting hit. Now, Bitcoin did lose some steam. I guess if that's the reason, then that's your simple reason. Bitcoin was at 97 this morning. Now it's at 95.2. But it's not like Hood was up a lot this morning when Bitcoin was at 97. So this one just getting completely demolished right here, down 7.5%. I don't think there was any headline I missed on Robinhood, and I guess you can chop it up to the crypto markets, but that one's getting hurt pretty bad. AppLovin, that's down 1%. Palantir got hit. Obviously, Grab, we talked a lot about it in the morning. I made a post about it on Twitter. 5% down. This one's ugly. Had a lot of conversation on this on X. If you want to go see a lot of the comments under my post, I think there's a lot of different perspectives. So check out my second to last post on X because if you're looking for how the community is thinking of it, I think it'll give some context. But that one's down 5%. Oscar up a little bit based on some of the stuff that Trump said about healthcare. Meta recovered 620, fell to 617. Bmnr holding on to 5%. Again, those thematic names that have held on to their momentum since the beginning of the year, like a Bmnr, they're holding on even on a red day like this, which is quite incredible. Even Rocket Lab, dude, fell to 88 and now right back to 90.6. I mean, that's not that crazy. It even touched 92.46 earlier in the day. So the fact that Rocket Lab is kind of holding on to these levels, or not 92.46, I think 92.20, but the fact that it's holding on these levels, I think is pretty damn incredible, even though it is a high beta name. Now, SoFi got to 27.30, could not hold on, back down to 26.40. Amcor got to 54 this morning, could not hold on, back to 49. So you're seeing a real bifurcation within some names. Intel got above 50 today, right back down to 48, gapped up to 49.30, now right back down to 48.60, down about 0.81%. You're seeing certain names hold on and other names that are not able to hold on. CoreWeave, it was up 11%. Now it's up 7%. NVIDIA, it got very close to 190. Now back to 187. Broadcom, which had a little bit of a strong day in the beginning, now back to 343. TSM, this was the big story of the day. Great earnings, got to 351, now at 342. Still up 4% on the day, $1.78 trillion market cap. But they were not able to hold on to their full gains. Now, the other big piece of news we had, oh, by the way, the Bmnr shareholder thing is at 4:30, which is in like 50 minutes. So we were going to do Macro Thursday with Chris, but the Bmnr thing is at 4:30. So we will watch the Bmnr shareholder meeting. We'll get Chris on tomorrow. I know that a lot of you guys probably want to see what the Bmnr shareholder meeting is like. So I'll be live at 4:30. We'll watch it when it goes live, but we'll have Chris on tomorrow for Macro Thursday. This was the other big piece of news today, which is really bullish. Trump is lowering tariffs to 15% from Taiwan. In return, Taiwan is pledging $250 billion in chip-related investments. So this is like good news. This is not bad news. It's very ironic that the market dumped after this news came out. TSMC had one of their best earnings today. They beat revenue guidance by $2 billion, gross margins by 5%. Pretty incredible. Intel, Amcor, AMD, NVIDIA, all the companies that are affected by the semiconductor trade, which is quite frankly the entire market because it's the AI trade. This is good news. So I am curious why we got this like flush out towards the end of the day. Maybe it's algos, maybe it's a continuation of what we saw from yesterday, but it definitely was a fake out into power hour as we're seeing this red. Even Zeta, which showed signs of weakness yesterday, back to 2160, down 3%. Again, I am more interested at 2050 and below. That's my average. So if we see that, I would be willing to add. But 2160 right here at this one, had a hot start to the year. Like a lot of these names, some of those names that had a hot start to the year, like a Bmnr, keeping their gains, other names giving back some of those gains, which is healthy and reasonable, I guess, but obviously it is annoying given this was basing around 24 a couple of days ago. 2164, that's down about 3%. UNH up a little bit, Oscar's up a little bit, and then Lennar is up 1% as well. Let me know what people did in the chat today. Did you buy, sell? Did you take advantage of dips? Again, for those asking about Hood, I really have no clue. Like I honestly, I can give you the Bitcoin explanation. I don't know if that's enough to explain a 7% down. It kind of feels like institutional investor taking profits, insider. But then again, Vlad already sold shares last week. He sold a decent chunk, so I don't know if he'd be selling again. Covered calls on this are probably doing well, but this one got hit. Bmnr did answer Noto. He did tweet that he was happy that Noto is matching the $1,000 Trump account stuff with your employer kid match, which is a good thing. Robinhood's doing it. A bunch of these companies are doing it. Dell started doing it. So Noto did get notice from Secretary of Treasury Bmnr today, but SoFi not really moving on the news. SoFi right there, 2640. I see people saying we bought Grab, bought Silver, bought some Hood. Other people saying sold some Hood. I bought Reddit. Why did this one get hit again today? I didn't see a single downgrade. Reddit, 9% for Reddit. What happened to that? 227 there as Reddit got hit. Reason for dump of Hood is the Armstrong discussion re crypto law not happening. It was all a lie. Okay, so the lack of the Clarity Act legislation is your argument for why Hood could be down, given there's less of a regulatory framework on Bitcoin. I don't think that's crazy. I mean, if anything, that goes back to the crypto-related arguments for why Hood can be down. That's just an aggressive 7% move, 7.8%. Worse for Circle and Coin. I actually didn't look at them. Coinbase, yeah, 6.3. Circle, 9.7. Okay, so this is not a Hood thing, guys. This is absolutely a crypto thing. Absolutely a crypto derivative play to the downside. MicroStrategy down 4. Bmnr, are we down? Bmnr is down 5 as well. Yeah, I guess all the crypto names, lack of clarity on this Clarity Act is creating an issue here. VG, I think that held on. We got about 9 minutes till the close. VG, 815 to 801, still up about 1% on the day. I see people saying bought more Iran did gap up to like 54 at one point. Iran, wow, right? See, 54.64 up from 50, right back down to 52.57. So these last 45 minutes kind of took everything that had a little bit. Even Tesla got almost a 45 or 445, and now right back down to 438. But there's not like a major headline. There really isn't. Hood is down because IBKR is just allowing funded accounts through stablecoin. That should not be a reason Hood is down. I mean, Hood could do that if they want. That has nothing to do with Hood, in my opinion. I think it might be more crypto related. IBKR right there, still up 3.4%. Is SaaS going to be dead forever? You know, it definitely feels like this is not an exciting time for SaaS. Salesforce down another 2.5%. Adobe. Put in the chat if you're in any of these SaaS names. The only two SaaS names I have are Zeta and Palantir. But put in the chat, is anyone holding these? Is anyone thinking there's a recovery? Is there a catalyst you're watching out for? I mean, at some point, they have to get interesting, right? Like, these things can't be dead forever. They do a ton of free cash flow. Duolingo's down 1%. Oklo down 4%. CrowdStrike down 2%. Reddit headline, I'm seeing mixed ad feedback on Reddit. So people saying ServiceNow, CRM, Adobe. Okay, so at least Reddit stock slips as analyst warns of mixed ad feedback. Look, I really like Reddit. I just don't love the multiple it's trading at here. I guess you could say that is a risk if their advertising, quality comes down. Quantum getting hit as well. D-Wave down 3, IONQ down 6, Rigetti down 3. Visa and MasterCard still getting hit as well. ASTS though, great day, 6%. That's one that's held on. Rocket Lab as well, only down 1%, which is not too bad. And then you got PayPal right there, again below 52. Wealthmatica, thanks for the super chat. Amid Zeta 2150 is buy. I added 8% to my position today, average 1688. Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I just personally, I already went in heavy at 20. I kind of don't want to buy more above my cost basis right here. I agree. Again, valuation wise, this thing doesn't really look expensive until 30. And when you really go through the numbers, I mean, that starts to make sense. I just personally, I don't need to increase my cost basis if I'm already in it. But 2158, that's down 3.2% on the day. Coinbase down 6, and then Reddit down 9. Now, another thing is we had Lutnick introduce a bunch of stuff around the Taiwan news. Let's take a look at that real quick, and then we will close out the day.
That whole supply chain to America. So we're going to bring it all over so we become self-sufficient in the capacity of building semiconductors. This is exactly what Donald Trump said he was going to do, and he's doing it today. 250 billion and 250 billion. This is the kind of scale that Donald Trump operates in.
So it sounds like the number, I'm not a math whiz like you probably are, Mr. Secretary, but that's $500 billion. I know a lot of that obviously is going to go to this Arizona facility that Christina and I were talking about. You've been to, obviously, we were together. Do you expect there will be other investments in the United States made as part of that 250 plus 250?
So what we did is we gave Taiwan $100 billion credit because TSMC came in with that $100 billion in 2025 with the Trump administration. So that's 100 towards the 250. Now I expect TSMC to come in huge, bigger. You've seen reports that possibly doubling in size in America, right? So that's TSMC. But then we have the rest of the supply chain of semiconductors, everything. You have to remember, like, each chip has a translator in it, right? What connects the power to the chip? What connects the chip to what you see on your screen, right? All those bits and parts, they all need to come here. And so we're going to have hundreds of companies coming here. We're going to build giant semiconductor industrial parks in America, and we are going to bring semiconductors home.
Now, again, this story is a little boring and old at this point. I mean, the software or the onshoring theme, it's an important theme, but it's not a theme that I think is going to excite the markets anymore. Maybe some individual stocks here and there, but you know, if we were counting on this to be something that would get the markets to be excited, not really. I mean, we know we need to manufacture. Trump's going to do whatever he can do with Taiwan when it comes to tariffs, and maybe they'll bring some more investments, but it wasn't the market-based catalyst that would. Now, it is surprising that we got this big of a drawdown after that news came out. It was obviously felt like it sold the news, but it might not have been the thing that could have got us up. TSMC earnings in general, I think, were enough to keep the market elevated, which it did for the majority of the day. It's just this last 45 minutes. That's where we got hit. Yeah, it's already factored in exactly. I mean, another simple argument around the red for today, for those that are asking, is, I said this yesterday, but we've had 2 really good weeks and probably need to take some of a breather. The problem with saying that, though, is like NVIDIA hasn't had 2 really good weeks. Meta, Amazon haven't had, it's all these smaller names that have had really good weeks. So when Amazon, NVIDIA, Meta, they go down even further on red days like this, it's just confusing, especially because they haven't really participated. Palantir right there, 176.98. That one's down. Resolve AI, that was up 13%. Dell, that was seen as a short from one of the big banks the other day. That's flat. Nike down 1.4. Yes, I will be covering the Bmnr call at 4:30. We'll watch it. We'll see what happens. We'll see what they introduce. Tom Lee did invest $200 million into Mr. Beast today. So I guess maybe they'll explain a bit what they're doing. I mean, I wonder what they're going to talk about. Like, it's going to have to be a broader conversation around ETH as a macro tailwind, because I don't know what else they would talk about. So, and Vitalik's there, Altman's there, so I guess it's going to be a conversation in that realm. Broadcom right there, trying to go green to end the day. Bitcoin also got flushed, 97 to 95. If we lose 95, I don't know if it's going to be that pretty. Silver also silver recovered a little bit today, but it's only down 2%. But that 92 level, 92.80, fell all the way down to 83. Now it's back to 91. So silver continues to be resilient, and dips continue to get bought on this thing. I guess the question is how long this continues. All right, we got about a minute left till we close out the day. Yes, Bessent did tweet about SoFi. Guys, I don't think that's that big of a deal. Like, obviously the Trump accounts are something that the administration wants to report. So like Bessent tweeting about Noto matching the $1,000 contributions, it's cool. I don't know why it's a big deal. It's like, okay, cool. Bessent acknowledged that Noto's going to be giving away money to the kids of his employees, the newborns. But like, we need SoFi to move. That's what we need. It's not bad, correct? It is not bad. So we got 2 more weeks until SoFi earnings, and we're going to see what Noto has cooking up. All right, folks, here we go. A little bit of an ugly day in certain sectors. Other sectors are a bit green. S&P 500 looks like she's going to end out. If it was Vlad, you'd care. I mean, you guys know where my loyalty is, but there you go. S&P 500, 692, ends out green, 4 p.m. The stock market is now closed. All right. We are done for the day. We are done for the day. S&P 500, although it doesn't feel like we ended up green, we did end green for the day, 692.02, down about 0.24%. Bitmine ended down about 5%. Silver down about 2%. Amazon was flat on the day. TSM was up 4%. This was one of the most important earnings of Q4, and they absolutely delivered. Zeta down 3%, PayPal down 2%, Rocket Lab only down 1%, not too crazy. CRM down about 2.4. Tessie got to 445, then fell 438. That was down about 0.14. Hoodie, I still don't know why outside of Bitcoin and crypto, which I don't think that's enough to justify an 8% day, but nonetheless, that's what the market said. That was down about 7.5%. Bitcoin 95.2. I ran from 54 to 51.89. That was down about 1.89%. Meta got a V shape right there. That's the cleanest V shape we've seen. Not a full V shape, 624 to 616, now back to 620, but at least somewhat of a V on the day. ASTS didn't feel any of the red, as that was 6.3% up on the day. And then SoFi right there, 2644. Again, I do have a pretty heavy SoFi position at this point, so obviously I want this stock to go up. Percent acknowledging Noto, that's cool, but realistically, we've got to see if they can beat analyst expectations on January 30th. And hopefully we can get this into the 30s. I mean, Noto gets paid a lot of money at 35, so the incentives are there. We just got to see if the company can execute to get to that level. HIM's right there, 31.25. That's down 0.24%. Netflix was down 0.5% on the day. Critical Metals, CRML, that was down 4%. Spotify, even after increasing subscriptions, that was up 4 or down 4%. As that also got hit. I think Hood is insider selling. It might be. We'll find out in the next 30 minutes if this was insider selling. Maybe it was crypto algos, given Coinbase got hit as well, but we'll see if there's something more to that. Coinbase right there, down 6.4. Vlad already sold a lot last week. I think he sold like 375,000 shares. So I don't know if that would happen 2 weeks in a row. PayPal ended 1.6 on the day. Let's take a look at the stock draft, see how that's doing. Let's also look at the top 20 stocks that were traded in the options market. Joby was up 1% as well. Wow, AMD made the list on the top 3. AMD, they closed out with a pretty good day, right? AMD, I think, held 230. No, 227. Wow. So wow, AMD 238 to 227, dude. That's a broad market. Everything gets dumped towards the end of the day because AMD had some incredible strength in the morning. NVIDIA, Tesla, AMD, Intel, Netflix. Those were your top 5. Netflix with that Paramount offer continues to be elevated. MicroStrategy, Meta, TSM, Microsoft, AbbVie, Palantir, Amazon, iBit, Hood, CoreWeave, ServiceNow, Google Coin, SoFi. These were your top 20 names that were traded in the options market. Stock draft, we're at 25% for me. Matt's at 51. Tanner's at 19. Steve's at 3. And Chris is at 8. So not too big of a change from what we had yesterday. But that's what we have on stock draft. Yeah, I agree. I think Clarity Act is definitely the impetus for the Hood move because Circle and Coin are down as well, which is, again, this is the beautiful thing about Hood. It's like when Bitcoin rips, I mean, which it did last year, to an extent until it faded. Hood is the beneficiary of that. I mean, that's part of the reason SoFi brought crypto back to the platform, right? So that there's a different level of volatility that's associated to an asset class that it could be, to an extent, pegged to. But when it's flat or goes down, or there's crypto legislation that is not necessarily conducive, obviously it might not be the best. California Public Utilities Commission is expected to approve Verizon's $20 billion acquisition of Frontier Communications. Okay, so that's been something that's been in the works for a while. Verizon is giving you $20 if you had an outage yesterday in credits. So if anyone needs to claim that 20, Verizon is giving that. Are these calls and puts buys or sells? You can't necessarily know. It's just volume. It could be buys, it could be sells. If you look deeper into the option flow, you can tell if people like buying above the ask price. Sometimes it's a buy versus a sell. But a lot of this could be obviously be hedging and more so. It's more so a gauge of the volatility of a name and how much interest there is in it. And those are the top 20 names that are getting this interest. Let's listen to Brian Armstrong because he's the only one this morning that disagreed with the current legislation. Apparently Vlad and Z and a bunch of these other crypto companies like Kraken were okay with it. Brian is not. So let's hear his perspective here. This is obviously why all the crypto stocks got hit today.
Your concerns are with the bill, too many restrictions on rewards, not enough CFTC oversight here. You mentioned issues with the DeFi space. I won't rehash all of it, but you've been working with lawmakers.
Continue. Money market flows just got them. Got a pretty substantial decrease, folks. 70 billion decrease for last week. Still 7.73 trillion on the sidelines, but a decent chunk of money left the sidelines to the tune of 74 billion. Let's see if that can continue over the coming weeks. Maybe that money came out and went into more high beta names that have obviously been returning pretty strong. Yeah, this is the first decrease in 8 weeks. That's correct. This is your first real decrease in the past 2 months.
You're so closely on this. Why did it all fall apart at the 11th hour?
Yeah, well, first off, I just want to say a big thank you to Senator Tim Scott, Senator Lummis, and really all the banking and ag committee and their staff that are just working tirelessly to get this done. And Coinbase and I think the rest of the industry is committed to continuing to show up as well to make progress. So, we got to see the draft text on Monday night, and about 36 hours later, as we were looking through it, we started to notice some issues in the bill. And we developed this concern that if it went into a markup, the only way to edit some of that base text would have been through an amendment, and the amendments had already been submitted. And so we didn't think it was prudent to have it come out of committee with a bunch of these issues in the bill, which would have been catastrophic, I think, for the average American consumer. And so we decided to voice our opinion about the current state of the text, and without commenting on procedurally whether the markup should happen or not, I'll defer to the Senate on that. And so I think we've got a chance to do a new draft and hopefully get back into a markup in a few weeks.
So even though you've been meeting with lawmakers for months on this, you were still surprised by some of the things that came out in this draft that was released really Tuesday at midnight, I believe.
Yeah, well, this bill is hundreds of pages, and so many of the issues that we'd engaged on were present, and great progress had been made. I know that there's many voices that they are trying to engage with to make sure that people's concerns are addressed in a very bipartisan way. But yeah, there were certainly some things which came out which we were surprised by and had issues with.
And what is your sense about what the next step forward are? I know that you've met with lawmakers today, met with lawmakers last night, meeting with the administration later this afternoon. Is something going to get done here, and what is the time frame that it needs to get done by?
Yeah, well, I think the high-level principle here is that we can't really have banks come in and try to kill their competition at the expense of the American consumer, right? People in America should be able to earn more money on their money. I think stablecoins are an opportunity for banks. They should be able to build great product lines with this. It's an opportunity for crypto companies. Congress and the laws that get passed, they should really create a level playing field and say, this is allowed, this is not allowed. Now, all American companies, go compete, try to build the best products and services. That's great. What's not great is if the banks can put their thumb on the scale to try to kill some of their competition, and they only pay about, 14 basis points on the average savings account. Consumers should be able to earn 3.8% on their stablecoin rewards. And so we're going to keep fighting for our customers' rights and the 52 million Americans who use crypto every day.
All right. So obviously this guy is not a fan of it. Reddit earnings February 5th, folks. We'll be live February 5th. We got Reddit earnings announcing for February 5th. He's exaggerating with killing competition. I haven't read through this bill. I kind of don't care that much about the bill. I just want there to be some resolution so that crypto can go higher. But I guess there are some technicalities that people in the industry disagree with. And he's obviously on the side that is not thinking this bill will be the best. No, you guys think Vlad doesn't like it, but then his tweet today said he did like it, or he's in support of it. Maybe he doesn't like all of it. Maybe Vlad's being more political. Maybe Vlad's like saying he likes it so that he can negotiate certain terms of the bill versus like fully endorsing it. Whereas Brian Armstrong's like, no, this shit is trash. Like, this is horrible. I trust Vlad more than Lex Luthor. What's with the Brian Armstrong hate? Guys calling him shiny head and all this stuff. Just because he's bald doesn't mean you can hate him. I'm going to be bald one day. You guys going to hate me? Hopefully that doesn't happen for like 30 years. But yeah, I don't know. We got to see what this vote ends up looking like. 95.2 on Bitcoin as that one continues to go red on the day. The other big thing we had was Trump's healthcare bill that was announced. It is called the Great Healthcare Plan. This was Caroline Levitt talking about it today.
Purchases. Number 2, the Great Healthcare Plan will stop sending big insurance companies billions in extra taxpayer-funded subsidy payments and instead send that money directly to eligible Americans to allow them to buy the health insurance of their choice. Additional purchases. Number 2, the Great Healthcare.
So Trump is talking about how this is going to give more freedom to people. Again, I'm questioning if his political capital will be able to be used in a meaningful way to actually enact a healthcare. Healthcare is not easy, dude. Some people told me they're getting texts from the administration if they have your phone number in their marketing already, like talking about this great healthcare plan. He had a little bit of a bounce in some of the healthcare names, but I don't know if he's going to get Congress to be ready to officially vote on this. I mean, if he can't get Congress to be ready to pass credit card caps, which I don't think they're doing in 5 days, which is his deadline, I don't know how easily they're going to get healthcare passed. 95,305. Also, the healthcare thing kind of came out of nowhere. Like, he didn't run on healthcare. He didn't campaign on healthcare. It's almost like this just randomly popped up today. Like, oh, he's attacking healthcare now as like his next big agenda item, which I don't even know if it's his next big agenda item. Feels like the mortgage rates and the affordability stuff is more of an agenda item versus like reforming American healthcare. Kind of a big deal. It's kind of something you probably spend years on, not just a couple months on. So we're going to have to see if that ends up becoming a big agenda item for him. Burry likes 4, shift 4. I thought Burry was bearish on 4. Did he come out endorsing it? I thought he doesn't like this name. Oh, no, he does. Oh, it looks like he does. Okay, he likes it. Okay, shift 4. You know, Tanner likes this. Wow, so Tanner and Burry agreeing together. The market cap of this is $6 billion. It's up 5% year to date. They are doing buybacks. Stock was down 2% right here. Burry is bearish everything except yoga pants. Neil likes 4 too. I didn't fully understand why they're buying back stock at a $6 billion market cap when they could be using that for growth. Like, it feels very PayPal-ish to me, but they're growing way faster than PayPal, so I don't know why. Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's good for shareholders if they're buying back stock even at that small of a market cap. But we'll look into it. Bitcoin right there, 95.3, ASTS 101. Here's a humanoid robotics update. Again, in 15 minutes, we'll go to this Tom Lee thing, which is the shareholder meeting. Brett Adcock, a Figure private robotics company, just tweeted this video out today. It's a Figure 03 running with a bunch of other people.
One cool thing is this is a full reinforcement learning controller that's fully steerable.
I mean, it's kind of cool, right? There's going to be millions of this thing, hopefully billions of this thing on the planet one day. It's faster than me. Yeah, I mean, The cool thing is now they're going to be more fit than me. The cool thing is that it's like it's at least showing some progress. The most important thing is, can we get some progress on this stuff? And the more progress we get, I think is going to be the most important for the humanoid robotics ecosystem. So that was one update. We talked about Jason this morning saying that he visited the Tesla Optimus 3 at the factory and said it's going to be the single best product in history. No one's going to remember that Tesla made cars in the first place. So now we are all waiting to see if that ends up playing out. Bitcoin right there, 95.3. Let's see what other major headlines we had. I mean, there wasn't anything crazy outside of that Taiwan news. Fox is reporting U.S. military assets are moving to the Middle East. Wall Street Journal says U.S. would need more military firepower in the Middle East, both to launch a large-scale strike on Iran, protect American forces in the region, and allies like Israel should Iran retaliate, the advisors told Trump. Okay, so this headline is probably part of the reason why Trump didn't strike last night. If this Wall Street Journal headline is correct, it means that it means that they don't have the military capabilities at the moment. They've got to get a lot of stuff ready before they were to full-on strike. And I guess that's going to take time. By the way, this is a video of Robert Kennedy, raving with milk. So he takes a sip of milk and then he enters into a rave, as you can see. The social media team for the White House is pretty incredible. It's pretty freaking incredible. So there you go. That's how they're endorsing their milk ecosystem. Then Steve shows up and drinks with him. Yeah, exactly. That's got to happen. All right. What else do we got? AMD right here. Look at that chart, dude. 238 to 228. It's giving vibes of November where it's like you couldn't trust anything when it had a little bit of a pump if it's going to give it back this quickly. That's a big move for AMD to go from 220 to 238 and then just lose it all right there. As that one continues to get hit. NVIDIA as well lost a lot of its momentum. After hours, that's down 0.05. Rocket Lab still holding that $90.26 range. The other news on Taiwan, again, it was not just they're investing $250 billion, but they're also promising to bring a lot more jobs into the ecosystem as well. No, we're not talking about FIGR. That's like a crypto banking solution thing, which was up 16% today. We're talking about like Figure, the humanoid robotics company. They are promising a lot more jobs as well, which Lutnick mentioned, and that was another part of the reason why people were excited. Let's finish up with what he had to say here.
To America. That's what this is. This is a $500 billion down payment on let's bring those semiconductors home.
So let's talk about what Taiwan gets. So we're getting this investment. We're getting a commitment from not only Taiwan Semi and their companies, but to your point, the Taiwanese government itself. So both are making agreements. It sounds like what they're getting is a reduction of that reciprocal tariff rate, 20% to 15%. In some cases, if it's an aircraft part, if it's certain generic drugs, that goes to zero. Is that the win that Taiwan will get and want to promote in their nation? And we get the investment in semiconductors. And to your point, Mr. Secretary, this expected build out, not just in Arizona, but across the country.
So it's a couple of fold. Exactly what you've said. They go from 20% to 15%. They get generic pharmaceuticals, airplane parts, things that, we're very accommodating for because we want those things to come in tariff-free. Unavailable natural resources, to the extent they grow something that we don't grow here, that won't come with a tariff. But then there's semiconductors. It goes like this. If they commit to build in America, they can bring in their semiconductors during the time that they're building in America without a tariff. That is special for them, right? They can build here. If we, at the Department of Commerce, if we approve their plan, they can then bring in semiconductors of 2.5 times that amount. So if they build 1 million, let's say, wafers, they can bring in 2.5 million wafers while they're building in America. So the objective is to bring 40% of Taiwan's entire supply chain and production to domestically bring it into America. And here's the goal: during President Trump's term. This is fire right now. This is it. We're going to break ground. We're going to be building here. These people have committed to try to build this full infrastructure and do it now in America. So that's what they get. If they don't build in America, the tariff's likely to be 100%.
You know, the funny thing about this is
if they don't build,
it's like, do they even have the congressional authority to be 100%? Probably not, based on what the Supreme Court says. So this, cat and mouse game of like, hey, we're going to tariff you if you don't do this. And if you don't invest, we're going to increase the tariffs. It's like that. When the Supreme Court makes a decision, that might not be a bargaining chip. Now, again, it's really important that Trump uses this as a bargaining chip. And he's been able to do that for the past almost year and a half now. So he's going to have to deal with how the Supreme Court navigates this. But if the Supreme Court says unilaterally the IEEPA tariffs cannot be controlled by the executive branch, and it's like a 7-2, 6-3 decision, Taiwan's not going to take these threats seriously. Now, Taiwan probably wants to have a good relationship with Trump regardless. Same thing with everyone else around the world. But that is why I think Trump is so hung up on what the Supreme Court decision is going to look like. Again, lowering tariffs to 15% from Taiwan. Taiwan pledging $250 billion in chip-related investments. This is what Caroline Leavitt said today around Greenland.
Subject of Greenland, Jeff Landry, the president's special envoy for Greenland, wasn't in the White House meeting yesterday. Can you say why that was and what exactly the role he is playing in these conversations about acquiring Greenland?
Well, the vice president and the secretary of state were present for that meeting. And the meeting, it was a productive meeting. It was a good meeting, and in that meeting, the two sides agreed to really establish a working group of individuals who will continue to have technical talks on the acquisition of Greenland. Those talks will take place, I'm told, every 2 to 3 weeks. So this is a conversation the administration intends to keep having with the Danes and with the respected delegation from Greenland. But the president has made his priority quite clear. He wants the United States to acquire Greenland. He thinks it's in our best national security to do that.
Again, the official stance of the White House is we want to acquire Greenland. I don't know, guys. I don't know how this is going to play out. I mean, Greenland, Denmark, they've unilaterally come out along with a bunch of EU officials over the past coming days and said, no, you can't do this. And NATO's cooked if you try to do this. I don't know, man. This is going to be, and again, the question is his base going to be okay with this? Does the base want us to acquire Greenland? I don't know if the Make America Great Again base cares that much about Greenland or even getting involved in it, but time is going to tell to see if they end up actually going through. We have 9 minutes until the Bmnr shareholder meeting. Vitalik will be there. Sam Altman will be there. I don't know exactly what we have to expect from that meeting, but that will be happening today at 4:30. We did see the Iran sanctions this morning as well from the administration. So that was at least another step that they took this morning. The shareholder meeting link isn't working. It's at 4:45. Why do they delay it? Bro. Why are they delaying this? Hold on. Where's the link? Let me see if I can find this. What's their X account name? Oh, hold on. I think I have it. Is this it? Yeah, this is it. Oh, yeah, the link's not working. Okay, I guess we gotta wait. That's annoying, bro. We're gonna have Chris on today. But I told Chris, I'm like, dude, if this meeting starts, no one's gonna want to listen to us. We gotta see what this Bmnr thing is. So he'll be on tomorrow. Amit being bad about someone being late is too funny. I was early today, first of all. And yesterday was like 1 minute. I'm telling you, right before you go live, something happens. Something always happens. I'd rather hear Chris. I'd rather hear Chris too. We had some stuff we wanted to talk about, but I knew the chat would be going crazy if the Bmnr thing is on and we're talking macro. Like some things after doing this for a while, you just know. And like, I hope this is a good meeting, bro. I hope this is something cool. I think the big thing, they just have to focus on the long-term vision of ETH. That's the most important thing. It's going to be late to his own wedding. You know, I was watching Grey's Anatomy, and it's kind of crazy because like the girl was going to get married, but like she didn't want to get married. So she just left. And when she got home, she was so happy. She like ripped off the wedding dress, and she was like, the last sentence of the episode was like, "Thank goodness I'm free now." I was like, damn, you don't want to get married that bad? You felt like you weren't free? Went through all this shit just to not get married? Like, talk about getting left at the altar. That's wild. But I hope I'm not late to my own wedding. Yes, we're tuning into the Bmnr call whenever it starts. I've seen worse crash outs at the hospital from colleagues. If this is the top on Amcor, blame my FOMO. I don't think this is the top. I just, again, when you look at the multiple, the valuation, the re-rating that the company should go through towards the end of the year, everything from TSM, Broadcom, et cetera, Amcor should be closer to $70, $80 stock. But once again, it is up 25%. That's the hard thing with a lot of these names. It's like you feel that they're topping because they've had such a big move. But in reality, they just need to grow into the move more than they've topped out for the year, I would say. I mean, it's only been 15 days of the year. But Amcor up 25. I did not expect Amcor 25% year to date. Like I really didn't expect that to happen. But it did. So now it's got to normalize these levels and see if new buyers come in. Let's see. What else do we have? Will Hood break 100? I don't know. I don't think it should. If Bitcoin loses like 85, I think it's very possible. But Bitcoin's been holding. We're going to have to see this quarter. This quarter is going to be important. Again, October was a really good month. November was decent. December was Crypto across November, December wasn't the best. Prediction markets might make up for that. Banking, we don't know how much that'll contribute. So there's a lot of other parts of the business I think they're going to try to make a deeper argument. Will you buy more Hood at 100? My target, and same thing with Jason, is 90. That's what we're looking for to add again. I haven't bought Hood in a while, so that would be an attractive price to get there. Jason says, can we place bets on to see if Tom is streaming from his bedroom or not? Well, they're in Vegas, so hopefully not his bedroom. I kind of don't know what the point of the shareholder meeting is, to be honest. Like, and I'm curious, like, what are they trying to convince shareholders about? And based on this Mr. Beast thing, I guess they're trying to convince shareholders more that they're not just an ETH company, which is fine. I guess they're going deeper into what they're going to try to be in the crypto ecosystem. But at its core, it's correlated to ETH. So obviously, there's going to have to be some level of new ideas they're presenting here to get people to be interested. What if the vote failed? I mean, that's a good question. I don't even know if they're going to talk about the vote failing or succeeding. I mean, you'd think they would, right? Like, yeah, when Tesla does their shareholder meeting, they talk about the vote going through or not. So I think they should. Like, probably should. Are you buying Netflix? No. Dude, I don't get the hype around Netflix. I don't. This Paramount thing is an overhang. Stock's not cheap, 37 times earnings. It's a phenomenal company, but it's like, I feel like there's a lot of better opportunities. And I mean, it's a media company. They don't really disclose subscriber numbers anymore. Like this is not some dirt cheap, oh my goodness, amazing valuation. Now this thing gets below 70, it gets a lot more exciting. I think Warner Brothers is amazing for them to acquire. It should be a tailwind over the next 5 years, but I don't know. I think there's a lot of semiconductor names I'd rather buy. And I'd rather buy AMD here at 230 than Netflix. I did not double down on Grab today. I'm waiting for 420, which is the next level. If we either it reverses and we have good volume and we move higher and I'm okay with buying higher, or we actually continue to be a falling knife. Again, the major, and that's when I buy. The major headline was the Indonesian caps on the commissions, which, is that a bad headline? Okay, sure. I don't think that's a thesis breaker by any sense of the imagination. But you did have a lot of on on X today initiate a position. I mean, a lot of people were waiting for a day like this to finally get in. And so like I got multiple messages from people saying, I'm in 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 shares. I'm in. I'm selling puts at 4. So tomorrow's going to be important. Do we have another bleeding red day, or are there some buyers coming in? What was the volume today? Yeah, dude, volume was 111 million. Like average volume was 48 million. It would make you think that that volume to the downside is aggressive, but it also could be heavily manipulated given there's 300,000 calls expiring tomorrow. And obviously those calls expiring would be good for the market makers. Again, for those saying there's mid-roll ads, it's not me, bro. I'm telling you it's not me. It's freaking Google. So bullish Google, but it's not me. I've never had mid-roll ads on for like 3 years. Unless YouTube, I'm going to check my settings right now, bro. Because too many of you guys have been complaining about it. If they like auto turned it on or some shit, that'd be wild, bro. That'd be legit wild. See, I don't even go into this, so I don't even know how to get there. All right, so let's see. Let's see. That would be bullish. It would be bullish for the Googs. That's correct. Dude, I legit don't even know how to freaking check this. Premium is worth it. Yeah, for me, premium has been the best subscription ever, to be honest. Okay, I will check this tonight. I don't even know how to check this shit. But maybe they auto turned it on. Then I'll turn it off if they did. They're hiding it on purpose. No, it should be pretty easy to see this, right? Like you click on ads and they're showing me all this shit. I just want to see where they're putting the ads. Yeah, I cannot see this here. All right, did the Tomley thing start? I don't think it started. They should be doing it on YouTube too. I don't know how well the X live stream is going to work. Okay, so I don't have a link that's working. If anyone has a link, let me know. I don't have a link that's working. At least not yet. At least not yet. Only ads I get are in the chat section. It's not often. Yeah, they started doing ads in the chat section now as well. I'm going to miss it. I'm getting harassed from work. Got to have your AirPods on. Try to be discreet with it to hear what they say. Oh, is it live? If they say anything. All right, the stream is live, but they're not starting yet. All right, so when it's live, we're going to see. When it is live, we're going to see. By the way, I had a lot of strawberries today, if anyone cares. If you followed me on Instagram, you'll see all the strawberries I ate today. I'm trying to eat more fruit this year. Strawberries, grapes, and bananas. I've been crushing those. Crushing them. I like the bananas the most. Those are like my favorite. Genuinely my favorite. Is that street for drugs? Oh my gosh. Man, I know you guys think I'm fruity, but still. All right, so we got to wait for this thing to play out. In 10 minutes, I guess they're going to start. What else? Do we have any other headlines? Anything crazy today? Representative Thomas Massey. Oh shit. He said, tell this administration the Epstein files are in Greenland. They'll lose all interest and will never be able to find it. Damn. This guy doesn't care. He's a Republican too, by the way. That's wild, bro. That's wild. Venezuela opposition leader Marina Corina Machado says she presented Trump with the Nobel Peace Prize in the Oval Office on Thursday. Okay. Dude, it's kind of crazy. The whole Venezuela thing happened like a week ago. Like it like legit happened. But things are just moving so quick. Things are moving very quickly. Yeah, SoFi is matching the $1,000 for the Trump accounts. I do not own RZLV. You guys have been mentioning it in the chat, but I do not own it. It was up a lot today, though, right? Why was this up 14%? I don't think we ever found a reason for it. I'll see if I can find something. RZLV, Resolve AI. Did Big Bear move at all? Big Bear's been kind of stuck. Big Bear, I was down about 2% today. I just see a lot of option flow for Resolve. I don't see any headlines. I see a little bit of a guidance raise yesterday. That was, or 2 days ago, January 13th. Yesterday, they got a price target to $12. Okay, so they got an upgrade. And I guess that's helping. Bitfine's gonna invest $500 million in Pokemon. Oh my gosh, dude. How many people like the Mr. Beast thing, dude? I genuinely saw it this morning and was just like, what the hell is going on, dude? I guess it makes sense, but I don't know if it makes that much sense. Where can I find your Substack? I'll put it in the chat. There it is right there. I don't know. We're all older, right? So like when we see shit like this, it's like, I don't know, if we were all like 19-year-olds that were investing, it's like, oh, cool, Mr. Beast. Like, awesome. Then again, if we were 19 years old, I don't know if we would know that much about who Tom Lee is. So I think for an older crowd, it's just like, I don't know if this really is that exciting. Tanner, Roy, and Tevis like it. I don't hate it. I just like, unless they're working on some crypto platform, and I'm really skeptical when celebrities get into crypto. You'd be like, yeah, Mr. Beast has a lot of followers. It's like, okay, cool, but like, I want to make a lot of money. Like, and all of his followers are kids. So what exactly are we doing here? I'm 19 and I don't like it. All right, well, we're going to have to see. This thing should be starting in 5 minutes. 4:45. This is the Besant tweet that people are so excited about. I'm not even trying to hate on this tweet. I just don't know why people care so much. It's like, okay, cool. SoFi's matching the Trump accounts. Besant's like, thanks, Noto, for matching it. I don't see this as bullish or bearish. I'm just like, okay, that's fine. But I feel like earnings are going to matter a lot more in a week. I'm 82 and I like it. I'm 5 years old and I don't like it. Okay, you are not 5 years old. No, it's not about being salty. How is this being salty? I just don't get why people are excited about this. Like, I don't know. It's just Besant saying, thanks, Noto, for matching the Trump accounts. Like, in no way is this going to help SoFi go higher. Now, Vlad was actually in the White House working with Brad Gerstner, the creator of the Trump accounts, building a custom UI for the entire, like that's a little different than a shout out by the Treasury Secretary. That's why I was just like, okay, it's cool, but I don't know if it's that big of a deal. Roy's excited because Mr. Beast looks like him. Oh my gosh. They do kind of look alike. I think Roy's more excited that Air Test Systems is going higher. Do you think Tom's hedging crypto and investing into other ventures? Well, see, this 200 million, I imagine, is being deployed for a crypto venture within the Mr. Beast universe. Like, if he's legit just investing in Mr. Beast because of chocolate, then yeah, that's a hedge against crypto, but it's not what people are investing in Bmnr for. They're investing in something that leans into the ecosystem. So I don't think that's what he's doing it for. But I guess we're going to find out. He already said why. I mean, the extent that I heard was Mr. Beast has a lot of influence, and as a result of that influence, we want to partner with the DeFi applications in the Beast universe. So it has to be something that's rooted in crypto. Oh, they have a YouTube channel for it. Okay, so we'll put it on YouTube. And we'll see. We'll see when it goes live. What if they use chocolate to buy ETH? Oh my gosh. According to multiple reports, the Giants offered Harbaugh a 5-year deal. Okay. Well, here we go. I think we are starting. All right, we're in.
Man, the myth, the legend, the only one, Thomas J. Lee.
Joining us right now is Fundstrat's Tom Lee.
Tom Lee?
Thomas Lee.
Tom Lee, ladies and gentlemen. Tom Lee.
I think you're a guiding light, Tom.
Everybody wants to be Tom Lee.
From trading floors to global stages, Tom Lee has been traveling the world, breaking down markets, crypto, and the future of Ethereum.
Ethereum is the future of finance.
City to city, stage to stage, BitMine isn't watching the future, it's building it. Buckle up. Tom Lee is on the way for the ride of your life with ETH.
Dollar dominance is going to be the opportunity of Ethereum. BitMine has over $12 billion worth of Ethereum. BitMine is on a mission to become one of the largest crypto treasuries in the world.
Everyone loves a good Tom Lee price target.
This isn't momentum. It's inevitability.
Ethereum is the base layer of the future financial system.
I'll be coming up hot for a minute. Guided by the alchemy of 5%, Ethereum as the core treasury.
Ethereum to me is the new Wall Street. The more Ethereum that's accumulated, the more secure the network is.
Tom Lee, from your lips.
Made in America Validator Network, Maven is coming. Staking, decentralized finance, compounding by design. We are bringing these to you right here in Las Vegas. Welcome to the BitMine shareholders meeting. Introducing Tom Lee. And now, please welcome BitMine Chairman of the Board of Directors, Tom Lee.
Well, welcome everyone. That was quite an introductory video. And it's my first time seeing it because Marcy wanted to make it a surprise. I've got a presentation, but before I dive into it, I just want to make some sort of opening comments, especially because those on the live stream are just hearing us begin this. So first, I do want to recognize the folks that organized and put this shareholder meeting together. in Las Vegas. So that's Marcy Simon of Agent of Change and her team over there. At the end of this sort of programming content, Marcy will come on stage and explain some of the other fun things that are going to follow the formal presentation of some of the content. I do want to recognize several constituents that are behind Bitmine. So I'm going to start with the board of directors, which if you can all just stand up at once. If you don't mind, there's going to be 7 standing up. Okay, great. Board of directors. And I'd like to recognize those from Bitmine's executive management team. So everyone who is from Bitmine, please just stand up. Great. I'd also like to recognize some key partners for us. One of them is Mosaics Capital. And if there's folks from Mosaics here, if you could stand up, I believe there should be a couple. I see some hands waving in the back. Yeah, okay. Of course, our outside counsel, Mike Blankenship, and the team from Winston Strawn, they've been critical partners as we forge as a crypto treasury. So Mike and Mike was up here with me earlier, but where's Mike and team? They're back there. Okay. And I recognize a couple of original pipe investors here, Seth and others. So if you are part of the original pipe, could you please stand? I see Adam here. Please stand up. These guys helped us fund the initial transformation of Bitmine. I believe I see Ash from the Ethereum Foundation here. So Ash, could you please stand up? Ash is from the Ethereum Foundation. Okay, and then of course, I'm not gonna ask all the stockholders to stand up, but I do wanna recognize you guys because one, I appreciate you making the journey out here. It's the first ever shareholders meeting we have. We tried to make this a fun event for you and we have some content for you to learn. But it really means a lot to us because we're here to serve the shareholders and really do right by the stock. Okay, so let me just click forward on this presentation. Okay, so I put together a presentation for our annual stockholder meeting. And here's some disclaimers. Again, just like the proxy statement, I hope you read it line to line. But here's the agenda. I want to give you a recap of 2025, which was the year that we transformed Bitmine. I want to give you an update on progress about the alchemy of 5% and what it could mean. I do want to spend a lot of time talking about the 4 pillars of growth to drive stockholder value. And this is going to apply to 2026 and beyond. Then I want to go back to why Ethereum is the future of finance. And of course, that we've got the team in place to drive transformation. Okay, I think it's a year, we need to recap 2025 because the year was where a lot of digital asset treasuries came onto the scene, by our count over 80. But in that 12-month period, by the end of last year, we have now seen the emergence of what I would call dominant DATs. Okay, first, just a reminder, I want you to think about holding periods. At Fundstrat, we first wrote about Bitcoin in 2017. And let's look at how Bitcoin has, and at that time we said you'd want to own 1% of Bitcoin. And let's see how it did compared to other assets. And a lot of these other assets I would still own, but as you can see, Bitcoin in that time period that's passed has gone from $960 through September 26th, which we just want to record before the liquidation event, 109,000. That's a 112 times return. It outperformed NVIDIA, which went from $2 to $178, which is massive already, 65x. It beat NASDAQ, it beat gold, which went from 1,100 to 3,800, and it beat the S&P, which went from 2,200 to 6,600. So if you put 1% into Bitcoin, that was a good insurance bet because it really crushed everything else. But Ethereum did even better. You can see Ethereum went from $8 to 3,900. That's almost a 490 times return. Okay. But last year, crypto kind of disappointed. You can see gold did great, the Mag 7 did well, NASDAQ did well, S&P did well, and you can see Bitcoin and Ethereum actually were down for the year. So in some ways, it made many people wonder, is a crypto winter started, or was even last year a crypto winter? Keep in mind that crypto was doing great until October 10th of last year. So Ethereum was up 40% and Bitcoin was up 33%. But then we had the crypto mass liquidation event. $1 trillion of value was wiped out. As many of you know, it was the largest deleveraging event in the history of crypto, even bigger than what happened with FTX. And they estimate over 2 million crypto accounts were wiped out, went to zero. And many market makers and even crypto exchanges had their balance sheets hurt. So the industry, since October 10th, has been limping along. In 2022, November 2022, when FTX collapsed, it took 8 weeks before the market began to show signs of life. So if you asked us this year, it's a larger event, but when would crypto begin to maybe find its bottom? It would be December 10th. And, you know, post October 10th, as you can see, Ethereum fell basically by half and Bitcoin fell by 36%. So here we are, but if you kind of squint, you can see since the late December, Bitcoin and Ethereum have begun to claw their way back. Okay. Now think about that. It was the largest liquidation event in the history of the crypto industry. So crypto treasuries were built to go public and outperform ETFs by buying crypto. And since October 31, only 2 crypto companies bought any crypto in size. MicroStrategy, from December 31 to the end of the year, bought 2.9 billion worth of Bitcoin, which is a lot. Metaplanet bought 330 million of Bitcoin. And among the Ethereum treasuries, only 1 crypto treasury bought any Ethereum, which was Bmnr, which bought $2.4 billion worth of Ethereum. And in fact, 2 Ethereum treasuries actually sold Ethereum. Okay, so if you think about accretion by buying ETH accretively or buying Bitcoin accretively, it's only 2 companies. Now, let's think about other dimensions about Ethereum treasury dominance. One is just the size of the balance sheet, dollar value of Ethereum held. These numbers, of course, are a little stale, but Bmnr is around 13 billion. And that is basically 5 times larger than the next largest Ethereum treasury. But the lifeblood of a crypto treasury is trading volume. Bmnr trades $1.6 billion a day. And as you know, we publish weekly stats, but routinely, Bmnr is a top 50 most traded stock in America, top 50. And as you can see, that's 14 times larger than number 2 in crypto treasury. So if you're looking at what institutions want a really liquid stock that they can buy without disturbing the price. Well, we trade $1.6 billion a day. So they can, they can buy $1 billion in a day. But the next smallest crypto ETH treasury only trades $100 million a day. It would be very hard for them to put $1 billion to work. So again, that's the comparative dominance. And so my takeaway is in 2025, because of October 10th, it has shown who are the dominant crypto treasuries. And it really, in my mind, is 2, MicroStrategy and Bmnr. And between the two of us, it's 90% of all crypto trading volume for DATs. So the other 78 companies represent 10% of the volume. Okay, so let's jump to part 2, which is the companies made rapid progress on getting to 5% of Ethereum. So that was our mission statement on June 30th when we launched the Ethereum Treasury funded by our PIPE investors, 2 of which are here today. And in those ensuing 6-7 months, as you can see, we wanted to get to 6 million ETH tokens. And in 6 months, we're at 4.2 million ETH. So we're 68% of the way to 5%. We originally thought this would take 5 years, but we're 68% of the way there in 7 months. Now, oh, thank you. Now, we have cash, $1 billion of cash on the balance sheet. So if we add the cash and said, let's buy Ethereum with the cash, we would have 4.5 million ETH tokens, which means we're 75% of the way to the alchemy of 5%. So we believe if you believe this trajectory, Bitmine should cross 5% sometime this year, assuming the 7 months continue to hold. And as you can see, we studied the blue chip standard for crypto treasuries, which is MicroStrategy. And as you can see here, we have 13 billion of ETH, including cash, in roughly 7 months. At the same point, MicroStrategy had 3.4 billion of Bitcoin. In fact, we accumulated as much Ethereum as Strategy accumulated, which took them roughly 1,300 days or 4 years. Okay, so now that we've stacked some ETH, I think you need to think, because many of you might get angry at us, because I've seen it on Twitter, like, Tom, if you got ETH and don't do anything else, you're just gonna stake it, okay? But then I think you're misunderstanding what happens if you have a substantial stake and especially as a validator, you know, in a proof of stake network, in one of the most important blockchains in the world today. I mean, Ethereum, in our view, is going to be the future of finance. So we have 5%. Imagine like someone saying, hey, there's this really tall kid, okay? He's like 7 feet tall, so we're just going to have him clean gutters because he's so tall, you know? Like your best use, best return should be like, oh, he should be a basketball player or something, right? Not a roof cleaner. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. You have to imagine if you own 5% of Ethereum and it's the most important blockchain in the world and it's going to be the future of finance and it'll be the settlement layer for almost everything else, I don't know if you'd want us to just be staking ETH and then that's it. And like, but that's what a lot of people many of you might even think that's what you want, but let me just try to open your imagination to some things that would make sense. First, when we made our first presentation about Bitmine, we gave you this roadmap. We said we're going to have a Made in America validator network. We're going to be a community participant, especially with the Ethereum Foundation and Ash, who was one of the key folks there. We also wanted to do moonshots. Okay, these are select investment and ideas that would really enhance the future value of Ethereum. And of course, we wanted to get to 5% of ETH. So I want to focus on this moonshots. And at the time we wrote this in our first presentation from July, we said we would use up to 5% of the balance sheet to do moonshots. Now, 5% today is $700 million. So you should realize we've been giving you this idea that we would take 5% of the balance sheet, 700 million, and our balance sheet will grow, but we want to do moonshots that will strengthen Ethereum's competitive position. So today we announced one of the moonshots, okay? You might be confused, so I'll explain to you why This is not confusing, okay? We made a $200 million investment into Beast Industries. I would say if someone said, what are you expecting to accomplish? If this was just like, hey, I'm going to make a $200 million bet into Beast, no brainer, okay? Because he is, I'm going to skip around. I'm going to jump. Because he is the iconic content creator of our generation. There is nobody more important to Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and Millennials. Now, I'm looking at the room, okay? I'm gonna guess, okay, that the representative population of Gen Z, Gen Alpha is not here, okay? Because otherwise you guys would be using a lot of slang I don't understand. I see some millennials, but I see a lot of Gen X and a lot of baby boomers, okay? So the thing is that you might think that we have gone off the rails, but that's not the thing, okay? Mr. Beast is the #1 content creator in the world. And if you're not following how important he is, first of all, he has 1 billion followers, okay? 1 billion, like there's 7 billion people on this planet. He has 1 in 7 people following him. But I'm going to say I only think there's 3 million people with like internet accounts. He has like 1/3 of all people that are on the internet following him. That's reach. For instance, he has the only person with more followers that are celebrities is Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo, okay? And of all the creators, he's 1 billion. The next is, I can't really read the name. I need my magnifiers. Okay. 300 million. He is a giant among content creators. In fact is, nobody's going to be able to become Mr. Beast again. I would say it's almost impossible for someone to, in the next 10 years, to get 1 billion followers. And he's created this organically. In fact, if you look at YouTube usage, Mr. Beast has more viewership than Walt Disney or Netflix or NBC or Paramount, Fox, Warner Brothers, or Amazon. Nobody's more watched in streaming world than Mr. Beast, okay? And think about that for a minute. And the Super Bowl, which is like considered, the global event, gets 256 million views on that event. Twice a month, Mr. Beast puts out a video, and each one gets 252 million views. His content is more watched than the Super Bowl, okay? So he has 535 million views a month out of his 1 billion followers. They are super engaged. And now he does all these collaborations. That's the key word. Okay, he collaborates with all these people that you might care about somewhere on this grid, okay? But he does content with them. And guess what? Well, actually, let me just jump forward. Well, yeah, let me back up then. Okay, so that's where it comes with us. So again, I'm going to start with what I just said. So if it was just a $200 million investment, guys, this is a no-brainer. This guy is the most important content creator in the world. And Bitmine was invited to invest in their capital structure. Look at who else is allowed to invest. Social Capital, which is Chamath, Alpha Wave. Mr. Beast himself, he owns 51% of the company. We're the largest corporate and strategic investor in his company. So we are big, okay? What do I think that investment's worth? Okay, I can make a forward statement because I'm not Beast Industries, but I think we're going to easily make a moonshot return on that, 10x. But that's not the reason, okay? So he's the #1 content creator. And now we have substantial call option value on any future consumer service developed by each. Okay, now I want to read what Jeff Hausenbold, their CEO, actually stated. Sorry, I'm going to have to pull this up on my phone. About this investment that we made. And I want you to listen carefully to his words. Okay, what he said was, "We are excited to welcome Tom Lee and Bitmine as new investors in Beast Industries, joining our current top-tier venture investors." And we're not a venture investor, we're a strategic corporate. "Their support is a strong validation of our vision, strategy, and growth trajectory, and it provides additional capital to achieve our goal to become the most impactful entertainment brand in the world." Okay, so we're helping them get to their goal. "We look forward to exploring ways to further collaborate," see, that's the word, "and incorporate DeFi into our upcoming financial services platform." So think about this. If you want Ethereum to be part of the future of finance, it kind of makes sense to have a connection to the most important content creator in the world. Okay, so again, if you were angry and you downvoted our investment in Mr. Beast, you're allowed to change your downvote. Okay, so I just want to explain the potential synergy. So you have, okay, someone says the #1 investor for retail investors, okay, me. The #1 holder of Ethereum in the world. Okay, we own more Ethereum than anybody, and it's the future of finance. Plus the #1 content creator in the world. I mean, guys, that's the option value. I mean, that's the moonshot potential. And that's what we just put Bitmine on a trajectory for another moonshot beyond just the money we earn from staking. Okay. Now, lastly, if you want to know where we could have potential collaborations, I'll give you some thoughts. For instance, do any of you guys watch Beast Games? Okay, like it's huge. It's the #1 show in 80 countries. #1 show in 80 countries. 144 million people watched it in the first 25 days. It's the #1 unscripted show in Prime Video history. 50 million families watched it in the first 25 days. I mean, this is driving Amazon growth, and it broke 67 world records. Well, would it make sense for Bitmine to be a sponsor partner with Mr. Beast in one of the episodes? Right? That makes perfect sense. Well, that's what we're going to have synergy from by being their largest corporate strategic investor. And by the way, something that the Mosaics partners and I, Matt from there here, and Shen's missing, but one of the things that was super compelling to us is that the corporate values of Beast Industries. If you're not aware, they are a very philanthropic group. Mr. Beast himself is extremely charitable. Beast Philanthropy has grown into one of the biggest giving engines in the world. Okay, they've raised hundreds of millions of dollars for things like refugees, food, prosthetics, surgeries. It's incredible. So we have corporate values aligned, again, with what I think is the most important content creator in the world. Okay, so hopefully, and I took a lot of time to explain that, you understand this was a smart move. Okay, we're not doing something crazy with shareholder capital. And they're growing, by the way. Look at his follower count is up 30% year over year. I mean, pretty soon, his follower count's going to include like Mars inhabitants because he's going to cover the whole planet, right? After 7 billion, or it'll be like, you know, frozen eggs and stuff. And 41% growth of views. Okay, so that takes us back to our strategy going forward. We have 4 pillars of growth because, again, I don't think as shareholders you want us to just simply be staking ETH and buying ETH, especially as we get close to 5%. So let me explain to you our 4 pillars of growth. The first is to maximize yield on Ethereum. Okay, so we're going to optimize the staking yield. The Caesar benchmark is 2.8. We're going to try to do better. One way we do it, at least one way that we've talked about it, is to pursue alpha strategies. Now, the entity that'll execute this for us is Mosaic's Capital. But we also have an advisor, Tom DeMark of DeMark Analytics. For those who are boomers or older Gen X, Tom DeMark is iconic. He is one of the most famous market timing people. He has won so many awards. He only has 2 clients. I believe he's disclosed his, well, I don't think he's disclosed his first client, so I'm not going to name it. We are his only other client. And I showed you that slide where we bought 2.4 billion of ETH in the last 2 months. Tom DeMark's strategies, along with Mosaic's execution, probably saved us $400 million on those purchases. So think about that. We bought ETH in a way that made you guys money. So don't shake your fist at ETH when it's down. We like it when it's declining, okay? All right. But here's where I can give you some imagination. We have 13 billion of ETH. So imagine proposal 2 didn't pass and we're stuck in the water. We don't buy another dollar of ETH for the rest of the history of the company. But using the staking yield and with some optimization, that would generate 367 to 390 million a year in rewards. We have $1 billion in cash. That would generate another 35 to 40 million. The company will generate $400 to $433 million a year in pre-tax income. That's more than $1 million a day. And that's been achieved in 6 months. I think a company that goes from 0 to, in 7 months, a company that can make 400 million a year, that's quite an achievement. But of course, thank you for the stockholders for getting us here. But let's think about a future scenario. Let's say that ETH's price stays at 3,000, but we get to 5% of ETH. That number rises to 542 million to 583 million. But I think ETH is grossly undervalued, okay? Let's say a proper price for ETH is 12,000, okay? And I'll explain in a later section how I get to 12. Then the annual rewards and interest jump to 2 billion to 2.2 billion, okay? That would make us one of the 20 most profitable companies in America. So, or maybe 30th most, but it's really up there, okay? So that's why if our vision is correct on Ethereum, and we're generating this level of rewards and income, you don't want us to just be a staking entity. Okay, so that gets us to the second, which is we want to invest in moonshots. So far, we've done 2. We will do more, Orbs and WorldCoin. We want to accelerate tokenization products. We want to work with the L2s and the DeFis, the leading projects, including something like Lighter. And I'm going to have a fireside chat with Vlad today about Lighter and why you really should pay attention to Lighter and its token. And you know, we're really excited about this Beast Industries moonshot. Okay, but just to remind you, BitMine invested in ACO $20 million. Okay, WorldCoin, it was founded in 2019 by Sam Altman, who's the OpenAI CEO, and Alex Blania. They have built an incredible technology for proof of human. It is the only way to verify your humanity today using an iris scan. They're not scanning your iris. They're using your iris to create a cryptographic hash, but that is unique. Out of 7 billion people, that would be the only number cryptographically unique identification. It's the only thing more secure is a fingerprint. And ACO's done well. They hold 10% of the circulating supply of WorldCoin, 11,000 ETH, 69 million cash, and they verified 17 million humans. The WorldCoin app, if you haven't downloaded it, it's almost an Omni app. It's that good. And they've done some cool pilot partnerships to do proof of human verification, sort of a single sign-on with Kraken and Coinbase. And they've also made strategic investments into something like Mythical. Okay. And of course, tokenization is the future. And that's why we want to do moonshots into tokenization. I might fork this conversation for a bit to explain to you tokenization, because I think people are underestimating how important it is. Tokenization does give you fractional ownership. It reduces cost and efficiency, 24/7 trading, enhanced transparency and security, increased liquidity. Okay, but I think it's really taking Wall Street into the future. Okay, so it's a huge evolution. And in fact, Larry Fink said it's the biggest innovation since double ledger accounting. He's the CEO of BlackRock. So I'll just give you some examples of tokenization. And I'm sorry, this is taking longer than expected, but I had to explain to you, Mr. Beast. So first, to tokenize something, you could just do fractional ownership. So you could say, take the painting and fractionalize it, and this is what you own. But what we believe is more important is to factorize an asset. So let's say you took the painting, you broke it down into the colors, okay? And it'd be the equivalent of like take a company and break it down to its components. Then you can decide that you just want to own a factor. So I'll give you an example for Tesla. You can time tokenize the company. You can base it on, remember, Tesla stock price is the sum of all future earnings. You could pick a single earnings year to own. It's a product tokenization. You could break it into its products, the present value of its products. You can do geographic tokenization. And you can tokenize the financial statement. Okay, let's give an example of time. Here's all the future earnings of Tesla. And we know Elon Musk gets paid on his 2036 earnings, okay? So you might just want to buy the earnings for that year because he's going to obviously have some enormous upside number to get paid. And that would be a lottery ticket, because imagine you don't own any of the earnings for Tesla for the next 9 years, and you just own it for the 10th year. That's a huge way to make a bet. If you believe in Elon Musk, that would probably be the bet I would make. And you wouldn't pay a lot for it because it's 10 years from now. You can product tokenize. He's got EVs, robotaxi. I left off Optimus Prime. Full self-driving, solar. Remember this, if you look at Tesla's stock price, it's the sum of all the future product streams that are here. I forgot Optimus Prime. And then then there's going to be this plug, which is the growth of Tesla in the future, which is Elon's brain. You can just make a bet on Elon's brain in the future. Okay, that's the kind of tokenization that can happen with smart contracts, and that's what I think a company like Lighter, that project, could be the ones working with us to develop these tokenized products. That would be a future moonshot, right? We also, the third pillar of growth is we want to productize Bitmine. There's an app coming. We have a huge community of dedicated shareholders, and the Bitmine brand is strong. It's interesting, when we did the initial transformation for Bitmine, we're like, wait, we're an Ethereum treasury company. Why? And Bitmine was a Bitmine mining company. Shouldn't we change the name? Well, 7 months later, I think we like the Bitmine name. We're going to keep it. And of course, I've got a Bitmine lapel pin here. So an app is coming, and it's being developed by an outside technical team. Now, you might wonder, what are we going to offer on it? That's what you have to wait to find out. Okay, so next, the final pillar of growth is that we're going to bridge TradFi and DeFi. And TradFi means traditional finance and consumer services. Again, because we believe Ethereum is going to be the future settlement layer and the future of finance, and we're the largest holder of Ethereum, we should act as that bridge. We're the top 50 most traded stock. Maven, when it launches, is going to be the largest staking entity in the world. So once we launch Maven, we're the biggest staking operator in the world. I mean, think about that. Like, we're not going to be small fry trying to get market share. We'll be the biggest. And that means we can actually act as a settlement layer for a lot of for Ethereum and maybe other tokens as well. So Maven, as you know, it's going to be best-in-class staking. Again, we really don't want to divulge too many details before we reveal it, but this is what we've told you so far. Okay, so you can see where things sit. We're the largest holder of Ethereum in the world. We're going to bridge things in finance and in DeFi. So you realize the roadmap's quite optimistic ahead for us. I'm gonna have to fly through this because I think I am running over time. So Ethereum's the future of finance, okay? Let me take us to this slide. I am? Okay. If you're gonna think about Ethereum's price, you should think of it as its relative importance versus Bitcoin, because the ETH BTC ratio is essentially saying, is Ethereum doing better than digital gold? And as the ratio goes up, that means smart contracts are more valuable than digital gold. And so that's how you should think about that price ratio. And currently Ethereum to BTC is 0.03463, okay. In 2021, that ratio was 0.08727. In my opinion, and many opinions of the team here at Bmnr, Ethereum is more useful now than it was in 2021. I mean, the fees have come down. The amount of developers has expanded vastly. A use case has massively emerged, which is stable coins. And now there's tokenization. And of course, there's going to be a bridge into the consumer through things like Beast Industries, right? So, in fact, Standard Charter, which is, we think, we've seen a lot of Wall Street research. I think Jeffrey Kendrick does some of the best work. He says 2026 is the year of Ethereum. He sees the ETH BTC ratio returning to its 2021 highs, okay? So he's using that metric. Okay, well, let's think about that ratio. There's 3 sets of columns here, okay? See the middle set of green? Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a little hard to see on the screen. So that's the 2021 high ratio, 0.0873. And then we put a little horizontal line because we expect Bitcoin to get to 250,000 this year. So if Bitcoin gets to 250,000 and Ethereum trades at its high relative to Bitcoin, Ethereum's at 22,000. And it's currently 3,200. So you see the massive upside in Ethereum. Well, is that good or bad for Bmnr stock? See, I went to Bloomberg, did what they call historical correlation. The x-axis is Ethereum's price since July. The y-axis is Bmnr's stock price. And you can see if Ethereum's price goes up, Bmnr's stock price goes up. So the correlation is like 90-something%, which makes like intuitive sense. Okay, well, let's shrink that a little bit and say, what if Ethereum gets to 22,000? What does this trend line project to? $500 price for Bmnr. If Ethereum gets to 60,000, the stock price is 1,500. And of course, if Joe Lubin is correct, which, as you know, he's been dedicated to Ethereum, and I think he has a good argument for it. He thinks Ethereum gets to 250,000. Bmnr stock price is 5,000. First of all, that's why we need the share authorization, because I mean, how many people can buy a 5,000 share? Like, you know, people are going to buy like 1 share or 0.1 shares, right? So that's the upside. And then finally, we have a strong team, which I already introduced, but you know, here are some of the members of the executive team. So I think that the presentation might have created some questions for you guys here. So I think we're gonna have a few questions. So if you have a question, raise your hand. However, please do not ask about the shareholder vote. That's already concluded. Okay. I see a hand there.
Thank you for the question.
Oh, I think there's a microphone.
Oh, thank you so much for the question, Mr. Chairman. crypto holders will know the slogan, not your keys, not your crypto. How does Bitmine custody their private keys and prevent them being stolen or absconded, et cetera?
It's a great question, and it's a question for all the crypto treasuries. As you know, crypto is a bearer instrument. What does that mean? Like, if you buy crypto directly, you now have a private key that you're responsible for. And you can access it if you memorize the cryptographic hash, or you have a password, or some seed phrases, or whatever. Now, you met the executive team here. None of us has a memory to memorize all the cryptographic keys, especially buying $14 billion worth of ETH. So we do not custody the Ethereum ourselves. We use recognized and regulated custodians. Now, we do not name our vendors for security reasons. But again, if you want to try to shake us down tonight, none of us has the private keys. It's the same structure as MicroStrategy. Michael Saylor does not keep a ledger wallet in his pocket for his 59 billion of ETH. He uses the same custodians. But for obvious reasons, I don't want to tell you more than that. Okay, I see a couple questions here.
Thanks, Mr. Lee. I was wondering, what does Vitalik Buterin think about Bitmine immersion? What's his take on it?
Well, I've met Vitalik. Vitalik's very diplomatic because he doesn't want to bless winners and losers. And, but he also recognizes the importance of community and users. And he has a vision around Ethereum. He doesn't necessarily believe Ethereum is created to become the next monetary system. However, it is literally the blockchain that's best for the future monetary system. There's a reason why JP Morgan is building their money market tokenized fund on Ethereum, and why Robinhood is tokenizing stocks on Ethereum, and BlackRock is doing tokenized funds on Ethereum. So these do not make Vitalik's unhappy. Now, Ash, who's been one of our folks that have really connected us to the Ethereum Foundation, he might be willing to share us what he would be saying secondhand, what Vitalik might think about Ethereum. I don't know if you're willing to, in Bitmine, I don't know if Ash, if you want to make any comments.
Okay, thanks, thanks, Tom. I think what's key with Bitmine and other DATs is that they are bridging the gap between Wall Street and what has been built over the last 10 years. Now, I think Tom's been a key proponent here. If Ethereum was to have an investor relations man, he is the chief of investor relations of Ethereum.
ir@ethereum.org.
No, so it's great. And I think Ethereum will store most of the world's value at some point in time. And if you think about a technology that is storing most of the world's value, tokenization, as Tom was talking about, that is where the collateral will exist. And that is where the capital efficiency of the world, the world's financial system will exist. So I think Tom's a big proponent and driving Bitmine and global adoption of Ethereum. So from that perspective, I think he's a key stakeholder, as is Bitmine.
Yeah, and just to emphasize, I don't think Vitalik wants to pick winners and losers. So I don't think he views us as any more important than any other Ethereum DAT. And I think that's important because, as you know, we don't want, like if you look at traditional equity markets, you don't want policymakers to pick winners and losers. You want the market to make that decision. So I really respect Vitalik's view. Okay, there's a few more questions. So could we hit this gentleman.
Hi, my question's about the current legislations is processing through our government. And specifically, if you would address this issue of the banks not wanting stable coins to, owners of stable coins to receive a yield.
Yes, this gentleman's referring to the Clarity Act, which is making its way through Congress. I think some of the crypto industry and some of the lobbying groups that we work with are not happy with some of the current proposals. I don't really want to say too many things because remember, the audience who's watching the stream are people in the crypto industry, but also people in the traditional banking industry. And I don't want to have I don't want to have a bullseye on my back. But what I would say is you realize the crypto industry and the traditional Wall Street banks have very different objectives when it comes to crypto regulation, because the traditional banks want to stack it in their favor. They want to make it harder to be a new entrant, and they want to make it easy for the banks to dominate by being like a big bully and saying, hey, listen, all you little pygmies, I just entered the room and it's my game. Whereas the new entrants want a level playing field. They want the best projects to win. And it's already kind of been happening in crypto. Like Tether, if you guys know, Tether is the issuer of the USDT. They have 130, maybe 100, I'm sorry, 180 billion of USDT outstanding. Let's say it's 190 billion. There's $19 trillion of dollar supply out there. So Tether has 1% of the money supply. Is that right? Yeah, 1%. But Tether is going to earn close to $20 billion by making a stablecoin for 1% of all US dollar supply. That makes it the sixth most profitable bank in the world. And its market value would be number 2 only to JP Morgan. So this crypto native stablecoin issuer is suddenly like the second biggest bank in the world. They only have like 300 employees. JP Morgan has 300,000. A crypto native company using blockchain as settlement, and by the way, most of Tether runs on Ethereum, is like a better bank than a bank. So you can see why Clarity Act it's kind of, there's a big fight, right? There's what the crypto guys want versus what the banks want. But I don't have a view beyond that because again, this is all being streamed. I don't want to, I don't want to drink coffee and like get sick or something. So, okay. There's a question here.
Great job, Mr. Lee.
Thank you.
I want to say you're number 1 right here, right now.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to know what your thoughts were about Bmnr. When will it top out this year? What month do you think it will reach its top?
Yeah.
What month this year?
Bro, what is happening right now?
I can show you my diary, and like every day I have a target price. Here's the thing, like, I really can't give you forward guidance because then we have to 8K it. And then of course, I already know from my days at Fundstrat, like if I say this is going to happen on this day, then everyone like marks it in their calendar. And then all of a sudden they're like, hate me because they bought call options on that expiry date. But you saw the chart, like Ethereum's undervalued. Ethereum's ratio to Bitcoin should be going up a lot. I mean, it should go beyond the 2021 high. And Bitcoin is undervalued because Bitcoin had a rug pull on October 10th and it's beginning to recover. Gold has been on a dramatic rise. Every dramatic rise in gold has been followed by a Bitcoin rally. And year to date, Bitcoin's beating gold for the first time probably in many years. So I think Bitcoin should do well, which would mean if the ratio of Ethereum to Bitcoin goes up, because Ethereum's already up 12% year to date, Ethereum should outperform dramatically. And then that's great for the stock price. So, I mean, if you're worried about Bitmine where it is now, just keep in mind, ask yourself these questions. Is Bitmine going to have a liquidity problem? It has $1 billion of cash. Does Bitmine have any debt coming due? Zero debt. Does Bitmine have to sell its Ethereum to fund operations? It's $400 million of pre-tax income a year. I mean, no problem there. Is there a problem with Ethereum? Ethereum's usage is going through the roof. They've, Fusaka upgrade happened late last year. Use cases are growing. So, I mean, if Bitmine's, stock price is in the dumps, which it kind of is it because of anything fundamental? Not really. But when did Bitmine's price kind of take a hit? After October 10th. I think all crypto kind of got hit after that liquidation event. But relative to other cryptos, especially DATs, only two since that period of time have actually sort of picked themselves off the ground and continue to buy crypto, which is Bitmine and MicroStrategy. So I hope that makes you feel better. But again, I can send you my diary later after the shareholder. Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry, guys. One more question.
Oh, I get the last one. Sorry, guys. Tom, thanks for everything you're doing for all of us. We really appreciate you and the team. Being that Bitmine's role within the Ethereum ecosystem, the importance of it, and how close we are to the 5% alchemy, has the consideration been given to go to 10%?
Yeah, so the question is, what if when we hit 5% of Ethereum, do we stop there? What if we go to 10%? We've asked that question a lot because one of the reasons we picked 5% is because of the power law. The idea is that if you own enough of a network, you begin to have beneficial and unique influence, not on the network itself, but on people who want to interact with the network. So in other words, if we were only 1% of ETH, would we be invited to invest in Beast Industries? Probably not, right? They wouldn't care. Would we be the liquidity backstop for a lot of potential exchanges? Probably not, but we have like 14 billion of ETH. And it's no debt. I mean, we can be liquidity for a lot of folks. And of course, that's why we could be the settlement layer. Does getting to 10% bequeath us more benefit? It might, but we also don't want to crowd out the network. Because if you own too much of Ethereum, then you become a malevolent entity. Because all of a sudden, you ever heard the phrase like, if you borrow money from the bank, they own you. But if you borrow so much money from the bank, you own the bank. Well, in a similar concept, we don't want to end up making this to have so much Ethereum that we crowd out the voices. I mean, Ethereum works because it's a huge community. So we want to balance that. So I don't know what the right number is, but one path is like we get to 5% and we're just dividending a lot of return because of our alpha strategies and our moonshots. Or we see if, what level beyond that would be okay to pursue without, exerting too much influence. We want to keep Ethereum, a decentralized network. So, well, I'd have to ask the master of ceremonies.
Mike 4.
Multiple. Thank you, sir. There was some controversy about Fundstrat giving two different stock prices of Ethereum. Can you comment on that by chance?
Yes.
Thank you.
When I first entered Wall Street, someone gave me some advice. They said, Tom, if you want to be correct, make 300 forecasts. And one of them will be correct and you're never wrong. So I decided to say at Fundstrat, let's make 20 forecasts because one of them will be correct. I'm just kidding. That's what you're referring to is that in my other job, I'm the founder of Fundstrat, a research firm. I'm also the chief investment officer of Fundstrat Capital, which, by the way, has reached 4.7 billion of assets under management. Thank you. And Granny Pin here. But at Fundstrat, we have 3 leading voices on markets. I do macro. I'm head of research. Mark Newton, who's our head of technical strategy, and Sean Farrell, who does crypto strategy. Each of us looks and approaches crypto differently. I have a top-down view of Ethereum and Bitcoin. I'm not trading that position. I'm trying to keep you from being your own worst enemy. Most people make a mistake because they sell at the bottom. Ethereum's like at the bottom. I'm trying to convince you, like in 2017, just stack your Bitcoin. Mark Newton is very tactical, and I consult him all the time. His time frame can be 5 days. It could be, 2 weeks, 2 months. It can be 12 months. If it's 5 minutes, he's going to call me in the bathroom. I'm just kidding. He doesn't call me when I'm in the bathroom. And Sean Farrell, he manages a portfolio of crypto as if he's the portfolio manager. He doesn't necessarily have a view. He might have a directional view. So the controversy that you're referring to is Sean Farrell said Ethereum would go to 1,800. It could go to 1,800 in December, okay? In December, Sean Farrell said that Ethereum could go to 1,800 in January, whereas Tom Lee said Ethereum should rally in the first part of the year. And so therefore I pulled Sean into my office and I said, Sean, listen, I'll give you $20 to change your mind. Just kidding. But Sean, of course, is managing a crypto alpha portfolio. So that's just, he's not pinning 1,800 and betting on it. He's just saying, I'm going to be cautious around ETH. Maybe I'm a buyer there. But if you're a subscriber to Fundstrat, Sean has modified his view. There's been a recovery in price. So now he's buying Ethereum. So I don't think he would stick to that 1,800 view. So the Twitter world will say, hey, Fundstrat's like throwing out 2 targets. It's not. It's just different voices. And if you're a subscriber to Fundstrat, you'd see it's not controversial. But by the way, if you'd like to get Fundstrat research, you're welcome to sign up. Just kidding. Okay, well, thanks. I think that concludes my part. Yes.
Well, for a guy who tends to talk a lot, I actually don't know what to say. I mean, I'm gonna call it. On Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, they have phone a friend. I'm gonna phone a friend. I'm gonna see if someone else can give some thoughts.
You're at a loss of words, so you need me to come in.
I am at a loss of words, so I need you to come in. I just want to hear another perspective before I give my perspective. Maybe I'm overthinking this.
I mean, I was trying to make you laugh, sending you freaking pictures.
Oh, it made me laugh, but then I'm not even going to say it. What did you think?
All right. So let's go through some of this. One, 5,000 a share. Were you doing a reverse split?
Dude, 5,000 a share. Where?
I mean, think about that.
We are buying every steakhouse in New York City at 5,000 a share.
Like, really think about what 5,000 a share means, everybody. If you have 100 shares, okay, what's 5,000 times 100?
What's that, like 50 million or something?
I mean, come on.
Well, what is it?
It's 500 grand.
Oh, shit. Yeah, 500 grand is nice, but we need to get...
On every 100 shares. I mean, I don't know how you can even say that without saying that may happen to a reverse split, because it just seems so crazy.
No, dude, you and me need to both get 50,000 shares each right now. So when it goes to 5,000, we start a private equity firm for steakhouses in New York City. And we'll just gobble all them up. That's our master plan.
All right. So, Mr. Beast, I don't hate it, but I want the details around it, because ultimately that's like 8 months of stake in the Ethereum we have. So eventually that'll be a free asset.
What the fuck are we doing putting money into Mr. B? Like the cringe part about, there's a lot of cringy parts about this, but he spends 20 minutes explaining why guys, every time he said guys too, it was so cringy. It's like, guys, we had to do this. It's like, first of all, like, these are investors. He's talking to them like they're your friends. It was very weird. It was, and that's a small detail, but it's nitpicky. But when someone is saying, guys, we had to do this, it sounds desperate, as if they're like, come on, guys, we had to invest in Mr. Beast. And I'm just over here like, why? I thought they would talk about some type of crypto fintech play. No, he's straight up saying, we want the chocolate. And I don't get it.
You know how everybody thought Elon was on ketamine that one conference call?
Yes.
It almost seems like Tom Lee was on Bmnr tonight.
I absolutely agree.
And I think that they need a new spokesperson for Bmnr. They certainly need somebody new to deliver these messages with enthusiasm that can hold everybody's attention and get them excited, and hire some new people to actually ghostwrite the entire speech.
The problem is, and tell me if you got this vibe, I felt the entire meeting or the entire hour of his speech was him trying to convince shareholders about a lot of random things.
It was justification.
It was justification. Yes, that's the word.
And I'm sorry, but why do we need an app?
Why do we need an app? What are we doing with an app? Like,
why do we need an app? Just fucking publish every day with the goddamn Bmnr.
They have X. They can publish everything.
Exactly. We don't need an app. Don't spend money on an app. Buy more Ethereum. It's just like what I said with the vote. Why are you paying these people to send letters and text us? Just buy Ethereum. That's why people are in this, for Ethereum. The Mr. Beast thing, okay, maybe. I don't.
But $200 million, bro.
No, but think about it. If for some reason Mr. Beast sells this company to BlackRock or Blackstone or somebody for a huge amount of money, we will make money on that.
Bro, but that's like 15 years from now.
No, I'm not saying that it's not a long duration, but I'm just saying I don't hate that as much as building an app. I don't hate that as much as saying 5,000 a share.
No, look.
I don't hate that as much as saying Ethereum is bottomed. I mean, how does he know Ethereum bottomed?
Well, see, that's the other thing. These like, and again, it's not really even blaming Tom here, but this goes back to a broader conversation you and I have had many times about, look, he had the most pristine brand in all of finance. You're allowed to be wrong. Everyone gets a bad call. But this shit was not only wrong on the timing, it entered into a territory that most like average/professional investors don't really steer into, which is this crypto shit. And when you get into the crypto shit, you know, things get, so when he's trying to justify everything and make sense of it and explain and kind of pseudo apologize, it just looks bad.
Here's the big thing with crypto. He needs to sell the future. He needs to show us why it's undervalued. You can't just say the correlation of Bitcoin and gold. You can't just say that type of stuff. I got news for everybody. Gold is used in manufacturing. Silver is used in manufacturing. Copper is used in manufacturing. Guess what's not used in manufacturing? Freaking Bitcoin and Ethereum. You need to show us why finance is being digitized, why Ethereum is the best blockchain, what is being done to support this, and get everybody interested in how all these transactions equate to more gas fees, equate to more burning of Ethereum, equate to it being deflationary, and why Ethereum's price is going to drive. Not just saying the correlation to Bitcoin. Like, that's a cop-out.
Yeah, and I mean, look, here's the thing. I feel like this whole shareholder meeting was acting as if Bmnr is a company, when in reality, it's a proxy. And so, like, Robinhood should be doing shareholder meetings, SoFi should be doing this stuff, but like, there's not much he can say other than we need ETH to go up. And the variety of ways that he pitched himself and Fundstrat and like pitching a subscription at the end, it's just like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Like, even if as a joke, it's like people are down lots of money on this stock and you're joking about signing up to a monthly subscription. Like, is that me or did that rub you wrong? Or
I did not think it made sense. I think that this whole speech should have been looked at from an outside view and rewritten. How happy are you did not fly out for this?
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty happy about it. And the intro, is it just me or was that the most cringe thing I have seen in my entire life? I mean, there's something that, you know, like, yes, you're allowed to like self-aggrandize yourself, but that was a little over the top, especially when your stock is down 50%.
Let me ask you something. Would you have rather listened to this or Jay Powell give a speech?
Jay Powell give a speech, 100%.
Okay, do you see a problem in this that
Yes.
both of us would rather listen to a freaking Fed speech than this?
Bro, and then the problem is throughout the conference, they're talking to other people that have other coins and they're probably going to buy stakes in those coins. And like, look, I'm not selling because it's always been about Ethereum and I'm bullish on Ethereum. But all this other shit that's being involved in, because ETH could go to 5,000 tomorrow theoretically, and Bmnr is going to be up 40%, right? And it's like it's going to look stupid if you sell here because you don't like Mr. Beast. But including all of that in the equation makes it feel weird. And then that's my gist of it, even if it doesn't take away from the ETH thesis.
To me, you have to focus on the ETH thesis. That's the critical point because most people are buying this as a proxy to ETH. They're not buying this for moonshots. If they wanted moonshots, they would buy Granny Shot. He has an ETF for that. Focus on what got you here. Focus on the real thesis behind Ethereum and have some excitement and learn how to work a crowd. Go watch Steve Jobs for 100 hours before you come out on stage. Go watch Bezos. Learn how to work a crowd. This guy looked like he was on Bmnr, very low energy, and the speech was not good. That was a D- speech. He needs, if you're going to hire him, like, I thought they had 5 employees. Seems like they have more than 5 employees. You're going to have employees, you're going to spend shareholder money, hire somebody to write your speeches. Please.
Yeah, he definitely winged it. I mean, yeah, dude, I don't know. It's just, it was very over the top, high, like trying to hype stuff. The controversy around the 2 different crypto prices. I mean, like, I get his response, but it goes back to my point. It looks bad because inside of your research firm, you have a guy who you hired to be part of your research firm that says this shit's going down. But then you're saying it's going up. But then the ETH you're buying every week is significant, like 80% down from the highest of levels, even though the price is down and up. So that if you're saying you like when the price goes down, then you should be buying more. So there is a level of conflicting narratives that are going back and forth. And I don't think there's an answer to it other than, quite frankly, you have two different jobs. One is to analyze the macro. The other is to get people to believe in ETH. And they're not necessarily coinciding with each other. And it's leading to, I think, a lot of personal conflicts of interest, which is why these answers sound really weird.
No, maybe he needs to hire a COO and have the COO be the face of Bitmine.
But I think if he's not the face of Bitmine, who's buying the stock? Right? I mean, a lot of people got into this because of Tom Lee.
Yeah, but people aren't going to get out if you have somebody new be the one to deliver the message. This is the last thing that they need. They need somebody that understands crypto. I mean, you listen to Tom Lee talk about this, it almost seems like he actually doesn't understand crypto when you listen to the bankless guys. You need somebody like Brian Armstrong who has charisma, who understands it, can work a crowd. I would have rather one of the bankless guys get on stage and deliver this.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, but this investment is around Ethereum. Explain. You can't just go out there and say it's undervalued. And as people say, oh, Tom, you're right. Explain why it's undervalued. Explain how it's being used. Explain how it's increasing the transaction volume and what is going to take place in your vision. Actually lay the thesis out as if you're getting graded on it. I don't like these definitive statements without backup. It's hard. I mean, this was not, I would have rather they just didn't do this. This was,
I agree.
As a shareholder,
I agree.
This was hard to watch. I look forward to so many different earnings calls and conference calls that this was brutal to listen to.
Yeah, the word brutal is correct. And I mean, I think the chat coincides. I mean, just throughout the speech at every level, it was just like cringe, weird. Why are you saying this? What do you mean? This, like, it's the price targets on ETH. I mean,
think about this. You listen to more conference calls than probably 99.9% of the investing community. Okay. If this was a public company, what would be the narrative? And not that it's not a public company, but if this was a tech company, what would happen if Noto or Vlad or Zuck or Elon or Jassy gave a speech like this?
It was down 10%. That's it.
I mean, this was absolutely brutal. This is one of the worst speeches I've heard a CEO give.
And your logic behind that is because you don't think he actually explained the core value prop of Bmnr. Is that your reason?
He didn't explain the value prop of anything.
Well, he explained the value prop of Mr. Beast.
Did he though? He just said that he believed 10x on it.
Yeah, that was the other. I'll do a poll right here. That was the other thing. Like when he said, guys, we're going to get a 10x. I was like, hold on. I've never heard a CEO say, guys, this is going to, like, I'm just.
I mean, this is the way that I would have packaged that. And this is just shooting from the hip, okay? I would have packaged it as, listen, we are going to take 70% of the capital that we generate from the staking, and we're going to invest it to diversify the portfolio for free, basically, without spending shareholder dollars. And we're going to do a 70% into new investments and 30% back into Ethereum, which is the core investment that got us here. And in those moonshot investments that you're going to get, it will be paid for off of the staking. The first big one is Mr. Beast. And it's Mr. Beast because we believe that his company will become one of the biggest media companies in the world. And we will have a slice of that. And the other things that they're working on, and I would just rattle them off and say that these create opportunity. And we're getting in on the ground floor. And if he decides to go public, whatever he decides to do in the next couple of years, we're getting in on the ground floor of this, and we're backing the most visible media franchise of 2026.
Yeah, but see,
That's
that's
all he had to say.
But there also has to be a correlation with what he's doing, right? Because like if he invested 200 million in like Kraken, for example, Kraken's about to go IPO. Kraken's a big crypto change. Obviously, Ethereum's a big part of their story. I would be like, I get to BitMine's ultimately becoming a little bit of like a holding company, like some of these public tech companies that have VC arms, like Google owning SpaceX. Like Kraken's part of the crypto ecosystem. But he's talking about, oh, we like Mr. Beast because he has followers. He's like, we might sponsor an episode on Prime. I'm like, what? Why would anyone care if BitMine Immersion Technologies is sponsoring Mr. Beast games on Prime?
Anything. He should have gave the case of why they believe the Beast company is undervalued and why they're taking a position in it. Period. They didn't do that.
Yeah, he just said he has a lot. He went through a justification of the top YouTubers. And I'm like, dude, you're not a VC. You're a crypto treasury that if you're going to make these moonshots, okay, but do it in crypto related. I just don't like, I felt like in the morning, I was like, there has to be something Mr. Beast is working on with crypto. Nope. It seems like Tom's like, no, we just want to invest in influencers.
Well, no, supposedly Mr. Beast is building some finance company under this corporation.
And see, like that might make sense. He did not talk about it today, which is
he did not talk about it, but I saw it earlier today.
But then Steve, here's the question: do you trust Mr. Beast with a finance company? Because I don't.
No, that's why I said to Tevis. I said to Tevis today. I said, what business does he have building a finance company, and who the hell is going to use it, and what's it going to do? It doesn't make sense to me. Listen, I'm with you. I think this was not good. Now, luckily, the only thing that matters for Bmnr right now is the price of Ethereum. That's the only thing that truly matters. And he should have stuck to why he believes Ethereum is going to go higher without making definitive statements. He got excited about it. Talked about tokenization, talked about stable coins, et cetera, et cetera. He didn't do it. We just have to accept that we don't have the right person to deliver speeches at this point. Either you believe in Ethereum or you don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately it is the ETH proxy. And like if ETH were to go to 5,000 tomorrow, no one would freaking care about any of this, right? Because like it doesn't matter. But,
even if it went to 4,000, nobody would care.
Yeah.
Because most people would be even on their investment.
So what are you doing? Are you buying more? Are you selling? Are you holding?
I mean, I'm certainly not selling. I can tell you that much. I still believe in Ethereum, so I want to hold this. I'm probably going to start writing cover calls, even though I don't want to because I'm down on it. But at this point, I may just start writing cover calls on it.
But that means you'd be okay with letting it get called away.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say hypothetically, not tomorrow, but on Monday, let's say it's at 31 and this really doesn't impact the price of either the price of Ethereum, I would probably start writing cover calls out to like 37, 38 area on a weekly basis and just generate a little premium. I wouldn't even care about generating a lot, but just a little bit. Hopefully they expire worthless. And if I have to roll, it's enough spread where I can roll up and probably, if they get called away, break even or be close to breaking even. But at this point, it's a play. It's always been a play on Ethereum, but I think I'm more annoyed at Tom Lee at this point than anything. And I think I'd rather, if they get called away, just pour that money into Ethereum directly.
Now,
and not deal with this.
Okay, so let me push back against a little bit of the sort of negative sentiment we have. You know, Tom said in 2017, Bitcoin at $5,000 was the next big thing. Bitcoin's at 100 now. What if this is just a real waiting game where ETH legitimately is 20,000 in 2030? Like
it could be, but keep in mind the only reason Bitcoin is up is because people keep buying and selling it. There's no utility, no value in Bitcoin, except for the fact that people are willing to pay a certain amount for it. And that could go away at some point. It may not. It may keep going up, but nobody is using Bitcoin for anything other than a transfer of dollars to a digital currency. That is the only thing Bitcoin is being used for.
No, so my point is like, if he's right about this future of finance for ETH and it goes to 20 grand or whatever, like, wouldn't it make sense to just shut up and hold it and not care?
Well, I think that if I put it into Ethereum, maybe I make less money, but I still have exposure to the underlying asset, and I don't have to deal with the fucking craziness of BMNR. I mean, I'm still very bullish on ETH. I just wish that Tom Lee did a much better job of explaining why Ethereum has the ability to change finance as an industry, what a timeline looks like, how the different transactions are bullish for it, what type of things are being onboarded to Ethereum, and how this can become a deflationary asset.
Yeah, I think the entire presentation should have just been about what you said, how ETH wins. Honestly, it probably would have been, he's pretty decent at least explaining the high level overview of it. That's all he had to do for 40 minutes is be like, hey, this is how this becomes the future of finance. Here's my thesis. Thanks for being a shareholder. Versus all this other shit. And so I agree.
Yeah, and be like, when you buy BMNR, right now you get an ETH at whatever the MNAV is. We're able to stake it. We're able to restake through DeFi. This is how much money we will be generating on pure staking. We're going to take 20% and restake through DeFi to get you a couple of other percent. This is how we're going to utilize the annualized staking revenue. It's
dude, their Maven thing, I feel like, is the biggest selling point on acquiring this 5%, and that barely was discussed.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's
another missed opportunity.
Yeah, I felt like that could have been the biggest thing, because that actually is very compelling if they can get better yields or just have a better form of staking the product, and then what they can do to other ETH companies based on that.
I mean, that's part of the reason I got into BMNR, because at the time I wasn't able to stake my Ethereum. And now that I am able to stake it, there's no way for me to stake it through DeFi or restake. It's just a pure stake at 2.17%. I'm not getting the same yields. So I think that Tom really missed a big mark about explaining how they're staking, what the network benefits are, how they restake their DeFi, and why going BMNR is more advantageous for shareholders than buying Ethereum outright. That's the thing that he needed to sell today. Because right now, if you believe in Ethereum, you can buy Ethereum, you can go into a spot ETF, or you can buy BMNR. Why is BMNR the right way to go? He had to sell that, and he didn't sell it.
Well, that's what we got. Also, did the shareholder vote go through? Like, I feel like.
Well, he said that he's not going to comment on the shareholder.
But how does it's a shareholder meeting? How do you not comment on it?
How do you not say whether it passed or not? I mean, it's all fucking digital. It's all computerized. You're not counting tallies. I mean, nobody sent in a freaking letter with a circle. You know what I mean? Everybody called in or did it online. It's all digitized. You have the numbers. Why didn't you say it?
He also, I feel like it passed, because if it didn't, I feel like he would be very sad. He was kind of upbeat.
You mean he that was upbeat?
Well, I mean, if that was upbeat, I don't want to know what it would have been like.
I don't know. I know what he's like on a bad day then.
Look, I think the final takeaway is, outside of the stock and Ethereum, your brand is very important. It's something I've preached for years on YouTube, like to not sell out, to not get greedy, because your brand matters so much more. And I think he had one of the best brands in finance. It's why so many people on my channel care about him, care about his thoughts about the market, wanted him to be on the show, yada, yada. So it's very quick. It's easy to ruin a brand, and you don't ruin a brand by having a bad stock pick. Like people are human enough, investors are mature enough to recognize a bad stock pick is inevitable. Warren Buffett has bad stock pick. It's about the nature of how you communicate and the thing you get people into. If your bad stock pick is a company that's not performing, that's one thing. If your bad stock pick is a penny stock that gets pumped and dumped, that's another thing. Your bad stock pick is an asset class that simply might have some tailwinds, but it's not really performing. And then you're diversifying by investing into chocolate, you know, and then your crypto guy says it's going to go down by 50%. You say it's going to go up to 9,000 by the end of the year. Like, that is where I think you get a lot of people thinking, what am I doing here? So
I agree.
All right, that's what we got. At the end of the day, my thesis doesn't change. It's ETH, but I mean, that was just not a good presentation, in my opinion. Just really wasn't. 80% of the chat says that was a disaster. 75% of the chat.
Yeah, it's hard to get excited about it. You go back and you watch charismatic CEOs deliver speeches and product ramps. This was not something to get excited about, unfortunately.
When I think of Karp and Vlad, when their stocks were in the gutter,
forget it.
Well, when their stocks were in the gutter, right, when sentiment was bad, when Karp got on stage, he gave you the thesis, and you had the belief where you did it. Sold the vision. Same thing with Vlad when Robinhood was stuck at 7. This wasn't that. Like, again, people can handle bag holding. It's a question of how you deal with the leader of the bag that's helping you get through the process, because those processes are inevitable. And I just don't think today was necessarily the easiest way to deal with that.
I agree. Most people, when they make investments, they understand that this can go to zero, and this has just as good a chance as going down as it does up. And they're making a long-term commitment to it. I remember those days with Karp. He never once didn't sell the vision and explain why everybody else was wrong. Tom Lee's not a wartime CEO.
There was a moment where Karp was like, I know what the analysts are going to say 2 years from now, so why should I listen to them today? You know, it was one of those cocky moments when the stock was $7.
Right.
We needed that from Tom Lee. We needed the Tom Lee of like, I know where Ethereum is going. Here's why. You know, but instead we got something that was just, it was self-aggrandizing himself in a way that you don't get to do when the stock is down. And it wasn't the type of cocky that gave you confidence. It was, I don't know. I think if you're investing in Bmnr, you're investing because of ETH, not because of Tom Lee, based on the presentation.
You have to invest because of ETH, and you have to believe that they know what they're doing on the network rewards and the staking. Otherwise, there's no reason to invest in Bmnr, investing in Ethereum directly. That's always been the case.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. All right, that is it.
Right.
I'll be live with Steve tonight, guys, on his channel. I'll link that in the chat. I'll try to get some more clips of this annual meeting, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. I'm leaving the link right here. Yeah, we'll be live at 9:30 on Steve's channel. We'll talk more about this stuff. Thank you, Steve.
I'll send you a link, and I got some big things to talk about regarding TSM and AI. I'm super pumped.
All right, cool. Talk to you tonight.
All right, later, everyone.
Later. What a day. What a freaking day. What a freaking day. All right. I think we're done. We'll be back tomorrow. Market to do. Tomorrow's Friday. That's crazy. It's a quick week. We'll be back tomorrow. Markets, again, were relatively red to flat today, kind of a continuation from yesterday. And yeah, it's up to the market now to interpret this stuff. Again, at the end of the day, I don't think a lot of this really has an impact on Ethereum, which is the ultimate thing that has an impact on Bitmine. But the quality of presentation, I do think a lot of people just didn't enjoy. It is what it is. This is how this stuff plays out. Grab took a beating today as well. One of those things you have to deal with, down about 5%. And see, like, you know, with Grab, there's fundamentals, there's stuff you could look at. So when you hold the bag on this, it's a little easier versus something like a Bitmine, which is, again, just so tied to crypto. I mean, a lot of this really is tied to the macro liquidity cycle of crypto as well, which we don't fully know if we're going to head into that crypto winter. It's only 15 days into January. I mean, Bitcoin above 95 doesn't feel like crypto winter, but if this thing flips, obviously things can get ugly. So that would be like a really good buying opportunity on Bmnr. Question is, do we get that or do we surge higher? And as many fundamental catalysts for ETH are there, like a JP Morgan and a Robinhood, et cetera, ultimately it's got to result in the stock price. So ultimately time will tell. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Think that's pretty much it. Nothing crazy in the after hours. Futures are slightly flat. Nvidia's up a little bit. TSM earnings, that was the big news today. The TSM, the Taiwan tariffs after hours was pretty good. Like the news on that was pretty good. And that's what we got. I don't know what else is happening at the live event. Again, I'll try to get some clips and see what else happens there. I definitely want to see Vitalik and Sam Altman and all those people talk about it, but that is the presentation we got from Mr. Tom Lee. All right, folks, that is it. Thank you all for joining. We will be here every single day. Keep seeing how this ends up playing out. The QXO dump, it was moving. Dude, honestly, everything at around 3:15. Yeah, QXO was pushing. Oh, it dumped after hours 5%. It was 25 in the morning. A lot of things got hit after hours and during the day, towards the end of the day. Robinhood's up a little bit after hours. It was down 7%. You had the crypto stuff. So we'll see how this ends up playing out as we get into the market open tomorrow. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. I'll be live with Steve tonight. Yeah, we'll keep going from there. Are you staying or are you going? All right, I'm leaving. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you guys tomorrow in the market open and then tonight with Steve. Bye, everybody.